Yes, I know I'm a gaming channel, however, I really wanted to talk about this, so if you care not for Lord of the Rings, don't worry, I have you covered. There's a new video I uploaded today as well about the Switch 2 and how Nintendo is planning to crush 2025, link is in the description below, but if you love Lord of the Rings, this video is for you, and I really want to talk about this, so let's get into it. So disclaimer before I get into this, I have not read a single book of Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit. I've never been the biggest reader in the world, those books are quite large, and as a result, I've only seen the movies, sue me. But with all that being said, I really do find enjoyment in The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. I did not like Season 1. Season 1 felt way too slow, took way too long to get going. I didn't start liking this show until like the final 3 episodes. It took us a whole season to get to the point of the show, which was the Rings of Power. And where the show left off at the end of Season 1 really intrigued me. And that leads to the first reason why I really love Season 2 is we are finally getting to the point of the show, which is the Rings of Power. Like I said, it took a whole 8 episodes to finally see any Rings of Power, and now they're here, Sauron has revealed himself, and now the plot can actually get going. First off, I just want to go ahead and say this right now. Charlie Vickers as Sauron could not have been better cast. One of the things I really like about this show is that we get to see Sauron being more of a villain. I mean, he's always been a villain. Sauron is still very evil in the original films. He causes so much havoc, so much destruction in Middle-earth. However, you don't really get to see him doing much. It's more of his dark forces causing all the issues while he just remains a flaming eyeball on the top of his tower. In this show, he's in human form, he's actually doing stuff, he's actually being the villain and the Dark Lord that I envision him being. And not only do we get to see Sauron as a human, but we get to see how evil he really is. And one of the ways that we see that is through his acts of deception. We'll get to more about that in a minute. But one of the things that I really like about this season is that it's much more focused about where it wants to go. Much more of this season is centered around one place, and that is the city of Eregion, because that is where the elven smith Celebrimbor lives, and he is the only one who can craft the Rings of Power, the one that Sauron needs to complete what he needs to do. And Sauron, through his acts of deception, is able to manipulate Celebrimbor to forging the rest of the Rings of Power, bringing about the downfall of Eregion as well as Celebrimbor. And since we're talking about downfalls and since we're talking about Celebrimbor, it gives me the perfect opportunity to talk about Charles Edwards as Celebrimbor. Such an amazing performance, dude. You really feel his weight, his anxiety, his want to accomplish such a monumental task, and then when he realizes that he's been duped, that he's been deceived by the Dark Lord, when he finds out he's been deceived, dude really sells it. Sauron basically comes to Celebrimbor in an almost deity-like form and makes him all these promises, as evil often does, and starts to mess with his head as he's forging the remaining Rings of Power. And one of the things Sauron does is he puts Celebrimbor basically under this spell, making him believe that all is well in Eregion, when in actuality the city is burning, the city is going to shreds, and I got absolute chills when he comes to the realization of all this, because that's what evil ultimately tries to do in everyday life. It tries to deceive and poke holes in people's lives. It keeps them longer than they're willing to stay and takes more than they're willing to give. Some of my favorite moments of this season happened in the final 2 episodes, and one of them is when Galadriel finally makes it into the city, and Celebrimbor is accepting the fact that he's probably not going to make it out. He and Galadriel know that they've both been deceived, and he says this one phrase: "There may not be any in Middle-earth who can stop him." It took me right back to Fellowship of the Ring. You have Frodo, who in Middle-earth would be seen as very small, very insignificant. He finds the most powerful object in all of Middle-earth, and not only does he find the most powerful object, he gathers his courage and with his best friend marches into the heart of all darkness and destroys that very thing. And that's another thing that this show proves. An army of elves, an army of dwarves, an army of men, none of that can stop him this season. Sauron basically wins this season. All the rings are forged. He's able to use their power however he sees fit. Nobody's able to stop him, and it only makes Frodo's victory in the last film all the more sweeter. All the deception, all the chaos, everything that he causes this season. But then you have Frodo, someone who is seen as very small and insignificant, is able to finally put an end to his rule. If there's anything that still holds this show back, in my opinion, that is the fact that there's still so much shoved into this show. And as a result, you have plot lines that you care about, and at the same time, you have plot lines that you just rather forget. You have the Harfoots journeying with the stranger, we'll get to him in a minute. The people of Numenor who are scrambling, the dwarves in Khazad-dûm, the elves in Lindon, the siege of Eregion. There's a lot of things to keep track of, a lot of characters, and as a result, you care about others, and the others you kind of just toss under the rug like you'd rather get back to other stuff. I will say I really enjoyed the Harfoot storyline as they're journeying with the stranger, helping him find who he is, which, by the way, turns out to be Gandalf. Lots of people were speculating on that, and people were wondering, is this who we think it is? And it turns out by the end of the season, yes, it is Gandalf. He has his staff, he has his identity, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with him in Season 3. Another favorite moment of mine from this season is the fact that we've got a confrontation, a real confrontation between Galadriel and Sauron. Because this moment to me shows how much Galadriel has grown as a character, because in the first season, of course, Sauron killed her brother, so she's out for revenge on that end, but also she's deceived by Sauron the entire season, and then she realizes, oh my goodness, all this was part of his plan, what have I done? And when Galadriel meets Sauron this season, she's like, I'm not going to be deceived any longer. I will fight to the bitter end, and that's one of the things I really liked about this fight. And with the music going with it, I really couldn't have asked for more. But yeah, this season leaves off in a pretty dark place. Sauron wins, Eregion falls, he has the Rings of Power, he's able to do whatever he wants with them, and the heroes are left wondering, are we going to bring the fight to him, or are we going to let him come to us? Overall, it leaves really good seeds for a third season, and I'm looking forward to see where they take this. Again, I know a lot of people have not liked this show, and it took me a while to get on board with it. Like I said, I waited for the entire first season to come out because I felt like it was moving so slow, and then I just binged it all. And I didn't start getting into it till the final 3 episodes. And then after that, I was like, okay, I'll be open to a second season and just seeing where they go with it. And Season 2 greatly surprised me, and I really, really did enjoy that. But overall, guys, I give Season 2 a 7 out of 10. Does it have issues? Yes. Is it still enjoyable? Absolutely. Is it a vast improvement over Season 1? 110%. It has a plot that moves much faster, the Rings of Power finally come into play, and things really start moving for the overall plot, and I couldn't have asked for more. But now I want to know what you all think. Have you seen the Rings of Power? Have you watched both seasons? Do you like the show? Do you not? Comment below and let me know. And if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and consider subscribing. I know this video was weird. I'm a gaming channel. Why did I make this? This season just blew me away, and I really wanted to talk about it, and I just wanted to say that I really enjoyed the show, even though there's lots of people out there who just didn't. Doing a video like this probably was a little off for my normal audience, but if you're a Lord of the Rings fan, comment below. If you're new to the channel because this video brought you to my channel, welcome in. It's nice to have you. Thanks again, everyone, for watching, and until the next video or next live stream, take care, everyone.